You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Floors Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Welcome, friends, and welcome to another episode of Wayback Wednesday. I'm your host, Randy Adcox. Glad you could join us tonight. We've got a lot of ground to cover tonight. I've got literally 52 pictures in our collection for tonight's show. We never get to that many during any given broadcast, and I doubt we will tonight either. But I just fell into a font, if you will, a fountain of pictures. Again, at the Charlie Killebrew collection at the Wilson Library website at UNC Chapel Hill. I literally spent about 3 hours getting ready for this tonight's show, and most of these pictures are from the 1951-52 time frame. Again, I uncovered a whole new area of pictures that I had not seen before, and so there's some really neat ones in this collection. And like I said, I just kept adding to the list for tonight's show. And when I hit 40, I said we'll never get to all these, but I couldn't stop myself. So we've got 52 on tap, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. They literally cover the all over the realm, from Rocky Mount to National Edgecombe County, even up to Red Oak. So bear with us. We're going to jump right in those in just a minute. But before we do, I just want to give a shout out to a couple of people. Many of you know one of our Rocky Mount City Council members, Lige Daltridge. Lige sent me an absolute wealth of information, historical information about his family's business and so forth in Rocky Mount over the years. Everything, and it's just, there's several pages worth of documents. And so my hope is to compile all that into a presentable platform to share with you on the show. And so, Elijah, if you're watching, I thank you very much for for what you submitted to me, and we will absolutely get it into a show. There's just an awful lot of information there that I'm still sorting through. I'm trying to coordinate pictures and documents and so forth to, as I said, put together a show around all this information. But look for that in the coming weeks. It should be, if not next week, perhaps the week after that. As usual, I got to give a big shout out to Eric Dawson. He just a font of information, as you all know who watch the show regularly. He stops by and visits from time to time. It's always good to see him, and always shared some good knowledge and good information about about this show and about the history of Rocky Mount in general. And so he stopped by and visited today and called me again this afternoon. And so I hope we get to the Red Oak pictures. We've got some good information and some neat pictures from way back in the 1950s from Red Oak, North Carolina. And last but not least, I just want to address an issue with last week's show. I've heard from several of you. Some of you called me after last week's show. I received emails, text messages, and I understand. Believe me, we heard your concerns. I don't know what was going on. I'm going to blame it on the weather because we really don't know. But I do understand that last week's show had some really, really difficult glitches, shall we say, both with audio and video. And so I'd like to ask a favor tonight. No matter where you are, if you're having trouble seeing the show, either from a standpoint of garbled audio or a picture freezing or coming in, going out, going black, whatever it is, let us know, because I'm sure I speak for everyone involved with this station. We want your viewing experience here to be a pleasurable one. Trust me, we don't want any hiccups, any glitches, and we're going to track all these issues and find out where they're coming from. As I said, we did have some bad weather in the area last week, so we're kind of leaning toward it may have been weather related. I understand that the replays of last week's show that played both Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon did not have those same problems, or at least not to the degree that we had last Wednesday night during the live broadcast. So I'm hoping it was a hiccup or a glitch or whatever, but if you're having trouble seeing us tonight or hearing us, let me know. You can send me a text. 252-883-1123 is my cell number. You can call us on the phone here at the station, of course. 407-1111 is the number. It's on the bottom of your screen as well. And we want to track this down, and we want to get it resolved, and so bear with us, but we will get it all straightened out. Okay, without further ado, Lee, let's jump into our first picture. Back in 1952, over in the Brattleboro community, there was a fire that destroyed the Brattleboro School. What you're looking at here is a picture of what remained of the school after the fire. As you can see, it burned to the ground, literally. I looked and looked, tried to find a picture of the school before the fire, and finally had to move on. I'm sure there's one out there somewhere, but I could not find it before tonight's show. But in the background, what you're seeing there is haystacks, peanuts stacked up on poles out there behind the schoolhouse, where the schoolhouse stood, I should say, because obviously it's not there anymore. But in 1952, the Brattleboro School burned to the ground, and for a while after that, they actually held classes in a church over there. So Lee, let's go to the next picture then. And this was one of the instructors, or teachers I should say, and you can see some of the students gathered down around here. He was up there at the pulpit and conducting class from the pulpit. I don't know for sure. I don't think this church is still standing either. Maybe someone who's a little more familiar with the history of Brattleboro can shed some light on it. Oh, got a call. Maybe this is it right here. Hang on. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Randy,
Yes.
can we go back to last week at the picture you had about the Rocky Mount Tile? I might can give you some information on that.
And which picture's that?
The one with Rocky Mount Tile, you had one address and it was at another.
Right, yeah, that was the one that the address was listed as being down on Falls Road, and it couldn't have possibly been down there. I don't know that we can still pull that picture up for tonight's show, but I know the one you're talking about. You say you got some more information about it?
Well, it was originally at 9, right next to Calvin's barbershop.
Was it?
Now, Mr. Wallace that owned Wallace Cleaners on the next block,
Okay.
but originally, and then after he retired or either passed away, a couple of men bought it, and then they moved from there, and I didn't know where they went from there, but they were originally at that Falls Road address.
No kidding. So that was right there beside the hot dog stand.
Right.
Okay. Well, I looked at that, and I looked at that area, and it's obviously changed, and so I'm not sure whether that picture was at the new location, and I'm guessing it may have been at the location they moved to after they moved.
It had to be the new location because it won't right there by Calvin's barbershop.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Well, appreciate the information there. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. All right. So I think there's one more Lee in this grouping of pictures from the Brattleboro School fire of 1952. Go ahead and pull that next one up if you would. And we're going to try to go through the, there you go. That's the church. And like I said, I thought for a minute this was the Episcopal church, but I went back and I was able to find a picture of the Episcopal church, and that's not this church, unless it was, unless that newest church replaced this one. I'm not sure about that. I don't think it did. But anyway, this was the school, the church that the school used to conduct classes after the school burned. And so those other two pictures, the other classroom picture, I should say, the teacher teaching the students, was taken inside this church right here. And again, these are all from 1952. There are some in a minute I'll show you from 1951, but most of these in this collection tonight are from 1952. So, okay, Lee, let's go to the next picture then. And this is just one of these make you grin. I'm not sure that the picture was captioned as 1904 car. It didn't identify it by make or model. I think it might be an Oldsmobile. I recall seeing a picture of a early 1900s Oldsmobile, and it looked very similar to this. But obviously it's out front of the Buck Overton Barbecue Restaurant. And so I don't know who the gentleman is that's sitting in the car, but Charlie Killebrew, when he took this picture, he identified it as a 1904 car. Oh, we got a caller. Maybe someone knows what this is. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Randy,
Yes.
that picture you showed was not the brick Brattleboro school, but it was the colored school that sat over behind where Bob Adcox had his store.
Okay.
Burned.
I never knew there was a school back there.
That church is the First Baptist Church that has later been torn down, and they moved to that brick church on the way out Brattleboro Leggett Road.
Oh, Morning Star Church Road down the corner?
Well, right on the corner there was Morning Star Church.
I know you're talking about.
That was First Baptist Church that used that because when the Brattleboro School closed, when it burned, rather, the school had already been closed for several years.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. The picture was a little misleading in that regard. It kind of gave the impression that...
But that was a frame building that burned.
Right.
That you showed the picture of.
Right. I figured it had to be. Yeah, because there sure wasn't anything left. It burned it to the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. I appreciate the information.
Okay.
Hey, how's the signal tonight?
Well, it buffered one time when you changed the picture, but it's going okay now.
Well, we'll knock on wood and hope it holds tight tonight. Okay, buddy. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Okay, so the next picture, Lee, if you would. This was a mystery to me, and if anyone can identify this building or tell us anything at all about it, I'd love to hear the story behind it. The picture was captioned as Captain Hall, C-A-P-T-A-I-N, Captain Hall, 1952. I thought for a minute it may be something along the lines of the Glenwood Hall over by the city lake, maybe a type of school, for example, or maybe a kindergarten or something, I don't know. But I don't recall seeing this picture before, and I don't recall hearing anything about Captain Hall before, but that's the way Charlie Killebrew had captioned this picture in 1952, Captain Hall. So if it rings any bells with you, if you know anything about it, give us a call. 407-1111 is our number. And we'll move on to the next picture here, Lee, if you would. And this next one is actually the Carbisco Flour and Feed Mills. And Eric came by today, was telling me a neat story about this building and about spending some time there as a young man and going in and getting burlap sacks and so forth for a business he and his family were involved with. But this was down on South Church Street, as I recall, if I remember correctly. And, I'm sorry, might have been South Gray Street, I'm not sure. Eric, if you're listening, give us a call and kind of fill me in here. I had made myself some notes about this and I left them laying on my desk. I can't say I remember this building or this business. I think the building itself is long gone, and I want to say it was down on South Church Street. I believe I'm right there, but don't quote me. I could be wrong, mistaken about that. But anyway, obviously it was a flour and feed mill. They sold food for hogs and chickens and cows, horses, and dogs. And so if you had livestock, you could probably go down there and get some feed for it. Okay, Lee, let's go to the next picture. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call here. Hello, caller, you on the air?
All right, that place, Carbisco Feed Mills, was over there on South Gray Street.
Okay.
And it sat right next to the Spring Hope Railroad tracks on Gray Street.
Gotcha. Okay. I for some reason, I knew Gray Street had rung a bell in my mind. I wasn't sure if it was Graceville Church, but okay.
The building has been gone a long time.
Now, was this the building you were telling about that had the man lift where you step up on it?
Right. That was the building where that in-plant manufactured of a built elevator that was used as a man lift in a similar fashion of a bucket elevator that would pick grain up and carry it up in the air. They retrofitted something like that and got it running real slow where people in those years could get on it and use it to go from the ground floor up to the second, third, and fourth floor back there where the silos were. All right.
Okay, buddy. Thanks again.
All right.
Have a good night. Okay. All righty then. All right. So obviously, in this time frame, 1952, in addition to plants like this that made animal feed for livestock and so forth, ice plants were still in wide use. And in fact, I found evidence of at least 3 ice plants in Rocky Mount in 1952. And Lee, if you're good, let's go to this next picture right quick. And this first picture is actually, I don't know which particular ice plant this is. It was just identified as ice plant 1952. But I thought it was a neat picture. These guys are hoisting these blocks of ice that are huge. And if you look down the very front of the picture there at the very bottom, on the left-hand side, you can see where they've cut those things into those big blocks. And they're moving around with those hooks in their hand there. This was not identified as being a specific ice plant, but there were 3 in Rocky Mount. The City Ice Company was actually at 277 Northeast Main Street. The Colonial Ice Company was actually on the corner of Washington and Bassett Streets, kind of across from the old auto-equipped machine shop, for those of you who know where that is, on Bassett Street. And then the Tar River Ice Company was at 917 South Church Street, and that's the one I remember. When I was in high school, I worked for Davidson Company Auto Parts, and Tar River Ice Company was still in business then. That was been in the mid-'70s. And so I remember that one. The other two I can't say I remember. I think they were out of business before I came along. But let's go to the next picture, Lee, because this next one is actually the Tar River Ice Company directory listing. And you see the address there is 917 South Church Street. I think it got blown up a little bit here, but this was actually from the 1952 city directory. And it was just a listing. It said Tar River Ice, and you see their motto there was cleanliness and prompt service. Okay, Lee, and this next one is actually for the City Ice Company, and it's also a directory listing. And I want to just pause here for just a minute or two. There's a couple of little neat tidbits of information. Number one, over on the right-hand side, you can see Pridgeon Tire Company there. And we did a show about Pridgeon Tire Company here a few months back, and their long history of service and being in business in Rocky Mount. I've seen their ad listed in several city directories over the years. They were obviously quite often advertisers in these city directories. Also, if you look just about midway of this page here, you'll see Alan Mims, who is the president and general manager of the Ford Company. And then down below, there's Allie J. Mims, who is the president of City Ice Company. And their residence was on the corner of Wayne Street and Forest Hill. And there's two-story houses that are there at the intersection of Wayne Street and Forest Hill. When I was a kid growing up, we moved over just off of Wayne Street in 1966. And if you come down from Crescent Drive down to the bottom of Wayne Street where it comes into contact with Forest Hill, there was a two-story house on the left that a lady named Miss Moss used to live in. There was a two-story house on the right, and I forget now, I used to deliver papers over, and I forget that resident's name there. So I don't know which one of those two homes that Miss Allie Mims lived in, and I'm not really sure what the relationship, I don't know if that was her husband, Alan Mims, her husband, and if that's where they lived. But in any case, obviously the Mims family was not only involved in the automotive industry, they were involved in the ice industry too, and obviously did very well with both of them. So anyway, I love looking at these old city directories because it's just, you can go through and find old businesses that are no longer in business. Then at the bottom you see the radio hospital there that was at 127 South Washington Street. You know, again, this is an industry that's long gone, but at one time there were several radio and television repair shops in Rocky Mount. I personally knew at least a half a dozen gentlemen who worked on radios and TVs when I was a kid growing up. Now you can't find one. You can't find anybody working on radios and TVs. I tell you, just look at the clock and see it's 8:21. So I tell you what, this is a good time for us to take our first commercial break. So Lee, let's go ahead, bring it back to me if you would, and let's take this opportunity to go take a quick commercial break. Got a lot more pictures to show you folks, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday.
Sponsored by Floors Glass and Mirror Company. Servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family. And we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
Hello, I'm Gus Tullis, here with exciting news on the Affordable Health Care Act special enrollment period. The enrollment period runs from February 15th through May the 15th. If you want to enroll now in the Affordable Care Act, call me today. There are no service fees, and all plans include preventable care options. Avoid costly bills. Let me help you find the best plan during this special enrollment period. Call me today, 937-6913. Hello? Yes, sir. I sure can help you.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
And we're back. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Wayback Wednesday. Glad you could join us tonight. Before the break, we were talking about the ice companies around Rocky Mount. There were 3 that we know of, one on Church Street, one on Main Street, and the third was over on the corner of Bassett Street and Washington Street. For those that know where Moore's Body Shop is, it's on that corner there, and then across from there would be used to be the Auto Equip Machine Shop. Let's get this call. We got a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello, caller. Yes.
Talking about those ice plants.
Yeah.
The one that was down there on South Church Street in the 900 block, the way I remember and understand it, when I was a child, that place belonged to a man named Bernard Taylor, Taylor Oil Company and Taylor Ice Company.
That's right.
I think Bernard Taylor's daddy probably went back to the earlier days of it. And that place on South Church Street, across from the old Davenport Pontiac place, had the capability to get those 300-pound blocks of ice out there to a platform up higher than a boxcar. And in the years that they got started, they were able to blow crushed ice into the top of those not refrigerated, but fruit growers' express cars that hauled perishable goods.
Okay.
Before the days of mechanical refrigeration on train cars, those cars were yellow wooden boxes that were like large igloo coolers that needed to be iced down. They had no refrigeration on them.
Right.
They needed periodically, as they were moving on the rails, to be re-iced, and the ice was blown in them through hatch holes in the roof of the cars. Regardless of what they were hauling, that's how those cars performed, being coolers like a cooler that you pick up and go put in the back of your pickup truck. But they were the size of a box car.
Wow.
All right.
Okay, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate you calling. Yeah, and during the break, I got a call from another viewer who was telling us about. In fact, Lee, let's go ahead and pull this next picture up, because we talked a little bit about the ice plant that was on the corner there of Bassett Street and Washington Street. I think we've got a picture of that. This next picture. Go on past this one. I think it's the very next one. There you go. It's out of the picture off to your right would have been the old Auto Equip Machine Shop. I think there was a garage in there for a number of years too. But off to the left here on this corner, that's Washington Street that goes off to your left there. And of course, back a little bit more to the left, you can't see it, it's off the picture, would be where Moore's Body Shop is now. But anyway, on this corner here was where the Colonial Ice Company was. And the gentleman who called in during the break was telling me that just like Eric was just saying about the ice company over on Church Street, this ice company here, that track that ran across by Bassett Street there, had the ability to, cars could pull up there and they could get ice into the cars, the box cars that way too, from this ice plant. So I guess it was a couple different ways to get ice into these box cars that needed to be cooled down for purposes of transporting fruits, vegetables, or anything else. Meats even need to be refrigerated or at least kept at a minimal temperature. So, but like I said, the building is long gone, but this is where the Colonial Ice Company was. Eric mentioned during the last call there that Mr. Bernard Taylor was the proprietor over there at Tar River Ice. In the city directory in 1952, it listed him as well as a Mr. E. Emery Adkins as partners in this business. So Bernard Taylor and Mr. E. Emery Adkins, apparently, I don't know if it was a 50-50 partnership or one was the owner, one was the manager, but both of these gentlemen's names were listed in the 1952 city directory as being proprietors of the Tar River Ice Company over there at 917 South Church Street. Okay, so that's the 3 ice companies. So Lee, let's go ahead then and talk a little bit about some tobaccos. Kind of hard to do one of these shows and not talk about tobacco, the tobacco warehouse. This is an old picture here from, again, 1952. This is down at the intersection there where Falls Road comes into Church Street. And you see the signs there, the one on the right-hand side to the right of the telephone pole. If you zoom in, you can see it says Red Oak is listed there, as well as Nashville. And then, of course, headed north would be 301 headed north. But anyway, this was the Easley's warehouse. This is the one that burned down, I think Eric was telling me today, sometime in the 1960s, I believe it was. Major fire. I think he said it could be seen as far away as Spring Hope, or at least the glow from the fire could be seen from as far away as Spring Hope. It was just a massively large fire when this place went up. But this is Easley's, and again, it's down at the intersection of Falls Road and Church Street. So, okay, Lee, let's go to the next picture then, if you would. And this is actually another angle, another shot of the same warehouse, same Easley warehouse. And you can see the same street sign, everything down there by the telephone pole. I'm not sure why this image is so much lighter than the other. They were both listed as being 1952. They were both listed as being the Easley warehouse, and so it may have just been a different lens he used to take this second picture, but it's supposed to be the same image, same location, same building. So, okay, and we've got some more, I just realized, and we'll get to those momentarily. But in the meantime, I had a gentleman come up to me in a restaurant here. It's been 3 or 4 weeks ago now, after one of the shows that we showed some pictures from Glenwood Hall. And today I stumbled across just another humongous collection of pictures from Glenwood Hall. There must be 50 or 60 pictures in this collection that were on this Charlie Killebrew website from Glenwood Hall, from the May Day events that took place, as well as Christmas and so forth. So I just randomly pulled 4 or 5 pictures from this new group of Glenwood Hall pictures from 1951. And so Lee, if you would, let's go ahead into this next picture. Oh, we got one more to get to before we get to those, I'm sorry. There's a Gardner's Dairy that many of you will recognize. Go ahead and pull that next picture up if you would, Lee. I almost forgot I had that in the mix. There you go. In later years, of course, it became, mine just went blank. I want to say Seal Test. But anyway, this was on Thomas Street. And in 1952, it was owned by the James Gardner family. And it was at that time, it was known as Gardner's Dairy. The address was 1148 West Thomas Street. And of course, the building has long been torn down, but over behind it would be over there by East Duke Circle and so forth. All that was gone too from Hurricane Floyd. Let's get this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Hello, Eric, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go right ahead, buddy.
That business that Gardner's Dairy had out there on West Thomas Street came into existence about 1936. That Gardner's operation never had a dairy herd. They primarily were in the business of taking milk from farmers and bottling it, but they never operated a dairy.
How about that? That's interesting.
It started in 1936, according to Jim Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far back it dates.
And that was his father that opened this place up, right?
Do what?
That was Jim Gardner, the lieutenant governor. His father was the one who started this, right?
I think so. And it later became under the ownership of Mayola, which was in
That's what I was trying to say, yeah. I said Seal Test, but it was Mayola. You're right.
Carolina.
Yep, there you go.
All right.
All right, buddy, thank you. All right, so there you go, yeah. It was Mayola. I mistakenly said Seal Test earlier, but it was Mayola in later years. But like I said, 1952, it was owned by the James Gardner family, and again, Jim Gardner, former lieutenant governor, it was his family business. Okay, now let's get into these Glenwood Hall pics. Like I said, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it is, maybe 4. But I pulled these randomly because there was just so many to choose from, and maybe on another show, another night, I'll try to show some more of those pictures. If you went to that school, I know some of you did, I know Eric did, either kindergarten or preschool or whatever, you may recognize yourself, but you can go ahead and leave and let's start going in these. Only 4 of them it looks like, so we'll go ahead and get into these Glenwood Hall pictures now. There you go, this little fella here is all decked out with his cowboy hat and like he got a bugle there in his right hand. And this was the May Day. This was taken from a collection of May Day pics. And if you remember from previous shows, Glenwood Hall was over there across from City Lake, there kind of beside where Lakeside Baptist Church is now. It would be there kind of in that road, I guess that's Piedmont that runs by there. Comes off Sunset Avenue there and comes around by the lake. But anyway, they had several events over at the City Lake, on the grounds out there by the City Lake over the years. And Charlie Killebrew and Bugs Barringer both were there at many of these events and took lots of pictures. And like I said, today, yesterday actually, I found this collection of more of these Glenwood Hall pics from 1951, the May Day celebration that was going on. Okay, Lee, let's go to these next 2 or 3. We'll go ahead and blow through these. I just want to, these are some I had not seen before. Some of the other ones in there I had. As you can see, there's some, these young folks are all dressed up here in their finest attire. I'm not exactly sure what this is, what they're representing here, or what's going on, some kind of pageant it looks like almost. But anyway, they look very dapper, both the young men and the young women both. So, okay, Lee, let's go to the next one then. There you go, this little fella here's riding around on a, what I used to call the back of stick horse. His has got wheels on it. He could probably get up and go with his. Mine didn't ever have any wheels on it. All I had was splinters between the legs. But anyway, a lot of fun on the back of stick horse over the years. All right, I think we got, that may be the last one, Lee. There you go, there's the last one right there. These are 2 little girls here, one pushing the other around the grounds by the lake. And again, these are just 4 I picked randomly. There were probably 50 or more pictures. And so if the gentleman that asked me, ran into me up at the Central Cafe a few weeks ago, about a month ago maybe, and asked about these Glenwood Hall pics, and if I could find any more. I have found some more, and I'll try to get some more together and put them on for another show in the future. But I saw these today, I wanted to just grab this handful and show them up here. Okay, so let's go ahead, Lee. This next picture, in 1952, the health department put together what they called a dog control event. And over to the right, you can barely see it, but that is actually the dog catcher's truck over there on the right-hand side. And they would go out and round these dogs up, these stray dogs, and I don't know where this facility was, but they put them in this pen here, and it looks to be a pretty miserable existence for the poor dogs, I'm afraid to say. At least they had water. I see a water hose there out front, so we give them some water. Again, I don't know where this was, but there were several pictures, and I just pulled a handful of them randomly just to kind of share with you tonight. In fact, let's go to the next one, Lee. This next one is also identified. These were all in the same Charlie Killebrew collection. They were all identified as Health Department Dog Control. And you see some of the pups there inside the enclosure. I guess they were awaiting sentencing or waiting for their owners to come pick them up. I'm not sure which. Hopefully they were all rescued, but I have my doubts as to whether that happened or not anyway. All right, Lee, let's go to the last one in this grouping then. And I think this is actually, if I remember correctly, this is actually a classroom. There you go. I'm not sure what this lady is doing, but this, again, it was captioned as being the Health Department Dog Control. So this lady appears to be holding a stuffed dog in her hand, or some kind of stuffed animal, and she's explaining something to these kids here. It's obviously at Christmas time. You see over to the left of the picture, there's a Christmas tree there on the top of the desk there. So I'm not exactly sure what was going on. There was no further information provided in this picture other than the caption. It just said Health Department Dog Control 1952. Okay, I had planned to keep all my tobacco warehouse pictures together, and I did not do that. My apologies. Those first 2 we saw a minute ago from the Easy Tobacco Company should have been with this grouping that's coming up right now, but that's okay. We'll get to them all. So Lee, let's go to the next set then. And there's probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 pictures. This is the old Mangum Tobacco Warehouse number 1. And we'll go ahead and lead to the next one because there was a 1 and there was a 2. And if you go to the next picture, this one is identified as number 2, obviously. And these, I believe, somebody can help me out here. I think one of these was down on Church Street, excuse me, and I think one was on Gray Street, maybe. Not exactly sure. I want to say one of them was where the Bullock's Furniture Holes there. Say, oh, we got a call. Here we go. Here we go. You're on the air.
All right. Mangum's number 1 tobacco warehouse was on North Church Street. That's
Okay.
the location where Bullock's Furniture Store has their lamp and furniture sale.
Right.
That building came into existence in 1922. some people up around Burlington, or not Burlington, but Durham, and across the Virginia state line with interest in banking and tobacco. Built that tobacco warehouse on North Church Street, Mangum's number 1.
Okay.
One you're looking at right there right now. Number 2 is on the corner of Gold Leaf Street, on the Edgecombe side of Gold Leaf Street and Northeast Main Street, in the next block north of where Dr. Hicks's office was.
That's right. I remember you telling me that today. Sure was.
Probably.
That's right. Okay. All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead then, Lee. We've got a couple more in these tobacco groupings here. This next one is the Planters Warehouse. And again, these are all, by the way, 1952. They were all captured in 1952 in this same Charlie Killebrew collection. And we'll go ahead and lead. There's another one here, just Planters. Obviously, that's number 2 right there. And go ahead and go to the next one. There you go. And this one right here, if you notice, this caught my eye. On the left-hand side of the screen there, you see it says Farmers Cafe. And obviously, you know, this was convenient when farmers come to town with their tobacco. Any business that could get close enough to the tobacco warehouse to open up some kind of business could probably do pretty well. There were gas stations usually close by them and little eateries like this right here. But that was called the Farmers Cafe, and it was address was 296 Falls Road in the 1952 city directory. I looked it up today, in fact, just to get a bearing of where that was. So 296 Falls Road, that would have been down near there. Near the area where Main Street is, down that area down there, Falls Road. Okay, so Lee, I tell you what, we had a good time for our next commercial break. Let's go ahead and do that now. Bring it back to me if you would. And when we come back, folks, we've got some more pictures of a few more tobacco warehouses to show you. And then we're going to look at some other pictures around the area, including Red Oak and some more pictures around Rocky Mount. We've got some gas station pictures to show you, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday after these breaks, after these commercial messages.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Hello, I'm Gus Tullis with Gus Tullis Insurance, and I'm here to talk to you about the extended open enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Enrollment is available to anyone under age 65. Pre-existing conditions will not disqualify you, and I'm here to inform you of the subsidy that can be available to you based on your household income. You may not even be aware of the potential to improve your current subsidy. You need to take action because the benefits are available if you enroll between now and the August 15th deadline. Now I'd like to take a moment and share with you the annual household income chart. For example, this income chart shows a household of one earning a minimum annual income of $12,760 up to $51,040 and possibly more would qualify for a subsidy. Over the last 3 days, I've helped several folks qualify and sign up for the Obamacare plan. This could be you. To find out if you qualify for a general subsidy, call Gus Tullis Insurance at 252-937-6913. Your subsidy is waiting, but the August 15th deadline is fast approaching. Call me today, 252-937-6913. 6913.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service, we offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family, and we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
And meal preparation to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
And we're back. Folks, you're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcock. So good of you to join us tonight. Again, just to kind of reiterate, last week's show, I understand we had some fairly significant glitches, technical glitches. We're going to blame it on the weather for now. I honestly don't know what was going on, but we had some bad weather in the area last week, and so we're hoping that that's all it was. But if you're watching the show tonight, whether you're watching over the air with the antenna, or whether you're watching over the internet, or whether you're watching over the cable system locally, we'd love to hear from you, particularly if you're experiencing any kind of problems, any kind of hitches, glitches, freezing, garbled audio, screen going black, anything out of the ordinary. Let us know. We're going to try to get these issues resolved, and hopefully last week's show was just I don't know, we'll call it a act of Mother Nature who just didn't want to cooperate with us last week. But anyway, all right, so let's jump back into the picture. We've still got a bunch. We've got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Randy.
Good evening, sir.
I just wanted to let you know that the signal is coming in great. I'm on an antenna.
Okay.
And there's no weather interference whatsoever. So have a good day.
Well, thank you so much for the input. I really appreciate that. Have a good night.
All righty.
All righty. Yeah, I know some people watch from over the air with an antenna, some watch over the internet, and so we're trying to kind of pinpoint if there's a problem in one feed or the other where we need to put our focus at. So I appreciate the feedback, I sure do. All right, Lee, let's go back into the pictures then. We've got 2 or 3 more here in this tobacco warehouse group, and we'll go ahead and blow through those pretty quickly. Again, this is the Planters Tobacco Warehouse over on the address here. Shoot, I had it. Well, I just lost my, Falls Road, 296 Falls Road. All righty, so let's go to the next one then. And I think this next one might be the, there you go, the Works Warehouse over South Church Street over that way. And then let's go to the next one then. There's 2 more in this grouping, I think, and there you go, the Smith's Warehouse. And these are, I figured I just went blank as where this was. Maybe someone can refresh my memory. Let's go to the next one, Lee. And this will be the last in this grouping of the tobacco warehouse. There you go. Obviously, there was a lot of these warehouses had 1 or 2 different locations. Some was painted on the building, location number 2, location number 1, or whatever. So Smith's obviously had 2. Several others did as well. But anyway, okay. I think that wraps up the tobacco warehouse pictures. So let's get in this next group. There's only 3 in this next grouping. This was from 1950. And these are identified, the caption anyway, as Nash County X-Ray Clinic. So go ahead, Lee, let's bring these next bunch up. There's only 3 of these, so we'll go through these. I had Eric look at this with me today. We think this is over there by the old Parkview Hospital. We think that water tower in the background is over there by the Imperial Tobacco Company. And so, in the 1950s, tuberculosis was still pretty rampant. My grandfather had tuberculosis, I remember. I think he had gotten over it and gotten through it by the time I came along, but I remember hearing, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think he went over to Wilson to the TB clinic over there, hospital over there for a while. But they had these clinics around. You could go in and get tested for TB. They give you a chest x-ray. And let's go to the next picture in this grouping. This is there was 3 different, here you go, this is another location. I'm not exactly sure where this was. In the background, that's the DeSoto Automotive dealership back there, that building to your left in the background. And I had intended to do some more research on that today and try to nail down this location. I apologize I didn't get a chance to do that. But anyway, these folks are lined up to get a chest x-ray. And if you go to the next picture, Lee, there's actually a pretty good image of someone getting an x-ray with one of those machines. And I got to believe this is not the safest way to get x-rays. None of these folks wearing any kind of lead shield or anything else, so I'm not sure which was worse, getting an x-ray from these machines or getting tuberculosis. But anyway, it appears you just walk up and stick your chest up to the machine, they just take a picture of it and send you on your way, and let you know later on if you got TB or not. But it just didn't look very safe to me. But anyway, okay. All right, so this next picture was identified simply enough as Negro Park. And you got to remember, in 1950s, and this was taken, 1950 was the caption on this picture here. I'm not sure, this could be Tom Stith Park, over by the train trestle over there off North Church Street. It was not identified any other way other than Negro Park, 1950. But these youngsters seem to be having a good time on the sliding board there, and so again, I'm not sure where it was, but good fun to be had by all. Okay, from that park, we move over to Sunset Park, and for those that remember, there used to be two pools at Sunset Park. One referred to as the kiddie pool, and one was the adult pool, and this is the kiddie pool. I seem to remember splashing around a bit in this as a youngster, always with an eye over toward the adult pool over there. Couldn't wait to be allowed to go into the adult pool and go swimming over there. But this was the kiddie pool, and you can see the adult pool in the background there. And the next picture, Lee, is another image. Let's go ahead to that one. It's another image of the kiddie pool from a different angle, I think. There you go, a little close-up image there. And Mom is blowing up the little blow-up ring there for Junior to get back in the pool and float around with. So good fun there at the pool. And then there's one more in this group, and if you would go ahead to that last one and this group, and then this is the adult pool. I spent many hours here as a youngster from the time I was about, 11, 12 years old up until I was a teenager. Used to love going down there on Saturday mornings. I just have some very fond memories of swimming with friends, and I learned to swim here. I literally learned to swim in this pool because a friend of mine, Jim Harrison, threw me in over my head and I had to swim or drown. And so that's how I learned to swim. But good fun, good time, good memories, and love this pool. I hate what happened to it, but in any case, I'm sure a lot of you have some fond memories of this pool as well. Okay, this next picture is one that I was kind of hoping we'd get to tonight, and I'm glad we did, because this is the old, what some folks refer to as the teacherage. It was also referred to as the girls' dormitory. It's up in Red Oak, and the town of Red Oak has donated this building to the Red Oak Historical Preservation Society, and they're in the process of trying to raise money to refurbish this thing and turn it into like a civic center so they can have events in it and so forth. But I found some information here on tonight or this afternoon when I was doing some research, and I'm going to read a couple things. One of these was actually with the image itself. When Charlie Killebrew took this picture, there's a little caption under the picture of 2 or 3 sentences, and I'll read that first. And the caption under this picture read, "Image shows the girls' dormitory of Red Oak High School. Red Oak High School was a farm life high school, the second in the state, that concentrated on subjects for rural high school students such as dairying and milk production, crop production, and etc., as well as a complete home economics curriculum. The school was attended by students from all over the state, hence the need for dormitories." And then I went to the Red Oak Historic Preservation website that's on the web and got a little more information. Here's what they had to say over there. The Red Oak Teacherage / Dormitory is owned by the Red Oak Area Historic Preservation Society. The building was built in the early 1900s and was originally used as a girls' dormitory to house boarding students attending the Red Oak Farm Life School. Red Oak Farm Life School was the second such school in the state of North Carolina, and the students came to attend from all over North Carolina. The school later became Red Oak High School, educating students in grades 1 through 12. In 1966, the high school was ended as it merged with Nashville and Bienvenue to become Northern Nash High School. The Red Oak Historical Society is working to rehabilitate the building where it will be centerpiece of the community to be used for various community events. So hats off to the town of Red Oak. I love to hear stories like this. You know, in years past, they rented out apartments in this building. It's been a lot of different things. It was in a really, really bad state of disrepair. It was about to fall in, and I understand they're as I said, they're raising money now to go in and rehab this building, and it's going to be a civic center, if you will, a Red Oak Civic Center, and for a far less amount of money than the $50 million that Rocky Mount spent on our Civic Center. So there you go. All right, let's go to the next picture then. We've got a few more here from Red Oak. We'll hit those real quick. This, of course, is the Red Oak Community Building. It was built in the 1930s. It has a massive stone chimney, vertical panel door with an iron latch and hewn logs. Originally, it was a home demonstration club, a statewide women's organization where local members learned about the latest homemaking techniques. Eventually, as time passed, the building served other functions and it became the Red Oak Community Building. Okay, we got a call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Look, I want to tell you something about that finishing school you were talking about at Red Oak.
Yeah.
Harold Menges had a cabinet shop in there for a period of time.
Did he really?
He did. He built furniture and whatever.
Wow.
But the funny part about it is that I went in it one day, and in the bathroom, the commodes, the tank was up as tall as your head.
Oh, wow.
When you walked in, you put the lid down, and the water filled the tank. And then when you got up, the lid automatically popped up, and the water flushed the tank.
How about that?
Flushed the commode.
Wow, that's some old technology and plumbing right there.
That's right. I just had to say that because I remembered.
Well, I thank you for sharing that with us. Appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, right.
All right, Billy, have a good night.
Right.
Okay. All right, there's one more in this group from Red Oak then. Lee, let's go ahead and show this last one. And I've got to go find this house. Oh, I forgot about this picture here. This is actually the Red Oak High School auditorium. And these youngsters were putting on some kind of presentation, some kind of singing presentation, it looks like. There was nothing listed other than Red Oak High School Auditorium 1952 with this picture. So I don't know who these kids were. They were probably students there, I guess. But in any case, all right, so the last one, Lee, is the Morning Body Hilliard House that was built in the 1880s. The house was built for Morning Body Hilliard, great-granddaughter of Isaac Hilliard, who was a prominent planter and owner of Woodlawn Plantation. It is a two-story L-shaped house. The house was remodeled in the 1940s, and the porch was redone in colonial revival style. I've got to go find this house. I don't know where it is. I've probably ridden by it 100 times, just never noticed it before. But in any case, it's a fascinating old house, and I love these old houses and just the architecture and the way they were put together. So, okay, so let's go ahead, Lee. We've got a couple minutes left. This was actually the Rocky Mountain Sanitation Department, is the way this picture here was captioned, and I'm not sure exactly where this was or what they were doing, but apparently they were unloading trash, would be my guess. Okay, couple more. We got some Texaco pictures here. We'll jump on these right quickly, if you would. This was the J.I. Stallings picture of Texaco Station, and this one was actually down there by the city lake. In later years, many of you remember Mr. Tootsie Council used to run this place. But this was the Texaco Station down there where Sunset and Thomas Street meet right there at the city lake. Station's been long gone. Another zip mark, I think, is in there now. But this is where this was, like I said before, Tootsie Council owned it. Mr. J.I. Stallings run that station down there, and this was it. Okay. All right, Lee, the next picture. This is, and I'll show you in a minute another picture if we can get to it if we run out of time. I saw a Texaco picture of a station that above one of the roll-up doors, it said, "Let us Marfac your door." And I thought, what the heck is that? So I did some research. Texaco actually patented this lubricant, and it was called Marfac. And it was actually created, I want to say back in the early 1900s, I read somewhere around 1919, I think it was, or 1924. was when it was first patented. But anyway, they use to lube your front suspension and your grease joints and all that kind of stuff. But go ahead and lead to that next picture, and I think the next picture might actually show you. Yeah, this is not really clear here when you try to zoom in, it gets blurry, but above one of those doors it says Marfac Lubrication. This particular station here is at 102 North Church Street. And the next one, Lee, if you would, let's go ahead to that one. This is actually, many of you remember Mr. John James. This was John James's Texaco station here. If you look to your left, there's the old fire department there in Michelin Tire Company, which is now the fire department museum. You can see the sanatorium hospital there on your right-hand side. That cafe is the Colonial Cafe there in the background. But this was John James's Texaco station. He run a record service out of here too. John James Record Service, the Coastal Record. Okay, so Lee, I think we've got a couple more maybe, and we'll try to knock those out. There you go. There's the front of John James Texaco station. There you can see the Marfac Lubrication to the right, just off to the right of the screen there you can see. But Marfac Lubrication was something Texaco patented, and it was basically a soap grease that was used to lubricate your car's front end and so forth. And anyway, it's still in use, by the way. It's, Chevrolet has got it now, well, Chevron, I should say, has got it now, and they kept the patent and everything. Okay, Lee. Folks, it is now 9 o'clock. I just really looked up and saw the clock. Bring it back to me, Lee. Folks, that's all the time we've got tonight. Actually, it was about another 4 or 5 pictures that we'll save for next week's show. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your calls. Thank you for your feedback on tonight's show and last week's as well. We're going to try to get all these issues worked out, but thanks again for your input. We really appreciate it. Folks, have yourselves a great week. Take care of yourselves and be kind to each other. We'll see you next week on more Wayback Wednesday. Good night.
Now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.